Dear students, welcome back to SWAYAM program. I am Professor Raushad going to share another very important topic, that is participatory archives. This is today's agenda. What is participatory archives? Traditional archives versus participatory archives. Benefit of participatory archives. A roadmap for participatory archiving, RoPA, and some examples of participatory archives. Now let us discuss what is a participatory archive. Participatory archives are collaboratively developed with and for diverse communities, ensuring they align with and respect with values, practices, beliefs, and needs of those communities. These archives recognize that various stakeholders hold rights, responsibilities, and perspectives regarding the records. As such, they serve as a shared, negotiated space for collective stewardship. Participatory archives provide a platform for reconciling different experiences, perspectives, and needs while addressing the dual nature of archives. A concern raised by scholars and a source of distrust for individuals and groups historically marginalized, silenced, or negatively impacted by traditional archival and record keeping practices. So, this participatory archive model fosters inclusivity by incorporating diverse voices and experiences, particularly those marginalized or underrepresented groups. It often involves activities such as crowdsourcing, oral history projects, collaborative metadata creation, or user driven content submissions. Annie J. Gilliland and Sue McCamish introduced the term participatory archive. Now, let us discuss how participatory archives differ from traditional archives. As far as authority is concerned, traditional archives having a centralized authority, and the archivists make decisions about what is to be collected, preserved, and interpreted. But in the case of participatory archives, it has decentralized and shared authority. Communities and contributors actively participate in the decision making. If you discuss about the focus, the traditional archives focused on institutional priorities such as government, academic, or organization records. But in the participatory archives is focused on community, grassroots, and underrepresented histories and voices. As far as collection process is concerned, in the traditional archives, archivists select, organize, and interpret materials based on established professional criteria. But in the case of participatory archives, communities collaborate to contribute, describe, and interpret archival materials. As far as inclusion is concerned, in the traditional archives, reflect dominant societal narratives, marginalized perspectives may be underrepresented. But in the case of participatory archive, it is actively seeks to include diverse, marginalized, and unrepresented voices. Accessibility, the traditional archives are physical archives or limited digital platforms. It can be accessed, may be required permission or institutional affiliation. Next is accessibility. The traditional archives may contain physical archives or limited digital platform. So the access may be require permission or institutional affiliation. But in the case of participatory archive, these are digital platforms and open access are prioritized to make archives more inclusive and widely available. Next is engagement. The traditional archives are passive and the participatory archives considers active. Why it is passive? Traditional archives, why it is passive? Traditional archives, users access materials and the prepared and interpreted by professionals. But in the case of participatory archive, it is in active nature. The users are contributing and they engage with and even co-create the archive. Next one is the representation. In the representation, we will be having the top-down representation because of archivist or institutional policies. But in the case of participatory archives, you will find the bottom-up approach shaped by communities and contributors. And as far as technology use is concerned, the traditional archives may or may not leverage digital tools extensively and often focus on preservation rather than interaction. In the case of participatory archive, it is often heavily reliant on digital and social media platforms for crowdsourcing, interaction, and community input. Sustainability is concerned, the traditional archives, backed by institutional funding and policies, often with a stable preservation infrastructure. But participatory archives relies on a mix of community involvement, digital tools, and sometimes precarious external funding. Ethical considerations. In the traditional archives, we have very limited community input on ethical questions like cultural sensitivity or representation. There will be strong emphasis on community consent, intellectual property, and ethical practices tailored to the contributors in the case of participatory archives. Now let us see some examples of traditional archives. The national archives of various countries, university libraries, university archives, and corporate record centers are the examples of traditional archives. Community archives, example, South Asian American Digital Archive, crowdsourced project like Europeana are the some examples of participatory archives. Learners, now let us discuss what are different benefits of participatory archives. The participatory archives establishing a collaborative space where diverse community can share responsibility for archival stewardship, enabling the integration of varied perspectives, experiences, and needs while facilitating reconciliation and recovery in the aftermath of intercommunity conflicts. And the participatory archives offering a framework to balance the dual nature of archives, ensuring that the rights and the protocol of all stakeholders are respected while allowing for differentiated levels of access. And the participatory archives supporting the representation of diverse viewpoints, whether they parallel or multiple provenances, and promoting shared authority alongside negotiated rights over archival materials. Dear learners, now let us go through Roadmap for Participatory Archiving, RoPA. So, RoPA is a conceptual and practical framework designed to guide institutions, communities, and individuals in developing and implementing participatory archival projects. So, the roadmap of participatory archiving will help individuals, communities, and institutions to develop and implement a participatory archival. It emphasizes collaborative approaches to documenting, preserving, and sharing cultural, historical, and community based knowledge. ROPA aims to address gaps in traditional archiving practices by creating inclusive, accessible, and sustainable archives that reflect diverse voices and perspectives. The roadmap for participatory archiving was developed as a part of the efforts by the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and the partners involved in the Massachusetts Memories Roadshow (MMRS). The MMRS is a community based history project initiated in 2004 by the university's Joseph P. Haley Library. The ROPA was formalized through a collaborative project led by Haley Library's University Archives and Special Collections team. The roadmap was created with input from archivists, librarians, educators, and community members to provide a structured framework for participatory archiving practices. This initiative was funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services under the National Leadership Grant, enabling the team to document best practices and create a practical toolkit for participatory archiving. The roadmap reflects the experiences and lessons learned from MMRS events where communities contributed photographs, documents, and oral histories to create a localized archives. This collaborative approach serves as a foundation for ROPS principles and methodology. This is a homepage of ROPA, https ropa.umb.edu. The details will be available. ROPA, the roadmap for participatory archiving, guides libraries and cultural organizations to develop participatory archives. This is one of the examples of participatory archive. Another one is South Asian American Digital Archive, SADA. The South Asian American Digital Archive is a not-for-profit organization based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, dedicated to fostering a more inclusive society by documenting, preserving, and sharing the stories of South Asian Americans. Through these efforts, SADA seeks to highlight the unique and diverse experiences of South Asian Americans, thereby enriching the broader narratives of American and world histories. You'll find the homepage of SADA. SADA ensures that South Asian Americans are recognized as an essential part of American story. This you'll find in the homepage of the South Asian American Digital Archive. It says our archive storytelling projects, exhibits, artistic partnerships, walking tours, lesson plans, and books reflect a community of over 6.1 million individuals and more than 250 years of history. Another participatory archive project is Participatory Image Archive. The Participatory Image Archive is a collaborative research project involving the University of Basel, the University of Bern, and the Academy of Arts Bern, and the Cultural Anthropology Switzerland. This interdisciplinary initiative integrates expertise from fields such as cultural anthropology, visual arts, and archival studies to explore innovative methods for the participatory documentation, preservation, and interpretation of visual materials. Another interesting archive that is known as 1947 archive. The 1947 Partition Archive is a participatory initiative dedicated to preserving and sharing the people's history of the partition of British India in 1947. Its mission is to document first person accounts from individuals across all ethnic, religious, and socio-economic backgrounds, capturing narratives of pre-partition life, the partition experience, and post-partition migrations. Through innovative crowdsourcing techniques, over 10,200 oral histories from 600 plus cities across 13 countries have been preserved, making it the largest digital archive of partition memories. Additionally, personal items, artifacts, and photographs of historical significance are digitized and safeguarded. You'll find the homepage of 1947 archive. It is giving this partition witness accounts the migration routes. You can select from various cities and various states about the photographs and related documents during the period of partition in the year 1947. This archive emphasizes the democratization of history, empowering individuals to contribute their stories, ensuring representation of marginalized voices often excluded from institutional records. This global digital museum raises inclusivity, making history accessible and participatory of diverse audiences. By leveraging digital platforms, oral histories are shared widely on social media, engaging over 1 million followers and fostering global awareness of partition's human impact. Another project is Europeana 1914 to 1918. Europeana 1914 to 1918. It is a untold stories and official histories of World War First. Repeat. The next one is the next. Now we are going to discuss on the next project, that is Europeana 1914 to 1918. Europeana 1940 to 1918. It's a untold stories and official histories of World War First. The project was collecting memorable and stories from the period of the Great War 1914 to 1918. The idea behind Europeana 1914 to 1918 was a project at the University of Oxford wherein individuals from all over Britain were invited to contribute family letters, wartime photos, and mementos for digitization. The idea success, which led to the creation of Great War Archive, inspired Europeana. The Continent's Digital Archive, Library and Museum to form partnership with Oxford University and other national institutions throughout Europe. In a collection of World War I stories, the partnership posted European stories online alongside their British, German, Slovenian, Luxembourgian, Irish, and so on equivalents. By bridging institutional frameworks and community driven efforts, they pave the way for equitable archival practices that reflect the pluralistic nature of societies. Adopting participatory methods can enrich archival narratives, making them more comprehensive and meaningful. So, we can end the topic with the remark that participatory archives aim to democratize the archival process, making it more transparent, dynamic, and reflective of a broader spectrum of human experiences. They leverage digital technologies and online platforms to facilitate engagement and ensure the preservation of collective memory for the future generations. Dear students, I thank all of you for your patience listening on this topic, participatory archives. We will meet again with another topic in the next day. Till then, goodbye. Thank you once again.